I self-published my first book at 19, and here's what I've learned. Hi, my name is Emery Faith, and I'm the author of The Siren's Wake, the first book in the Avino series, which is an epic romantic fantasy. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how I wrote my book, some frequently asked questions, and some tips that I have for people who are interested in self-publishing themselves, or just writing a book in general. My book is about a girl named Evren who grew up in a small coastal town, and she's kind of always known that magic exists, like, in the wider world and, like, outside of where she lives, but she just, like, never had any idea that it had anything to do with her. But during the festival in Sky and Salt, she is pulled beneath the waves, and she is under the impression that she's gonna drown, but then she wakes up in the care of Fireborn royalty in a completely different continent, very far from the only home that she's ever known. Now, everything in this palace and this continent is completely different than what she's used to. So as Evren struggles to kind of understand what happened to her that night, she's kind of sensing that there's like something going on within herself. She's drawn into connections that she doesn't fully understand, finds found family that she never anticipated, and begins to realize that the storm might have actually brought her there for a reason. My book is currently available on Amazon, and it is also free to read on Kindle Unlimited. I'll start by talking about one of my favorite processes in creating my book, which is world building. So for my series, I created a world called Avino, which is divided into like different territories and like two main like continents. Some of these places are tied to like elemental magic. Like, for example, the coastal town is tied to water magic, and the fire territory is tied to fire magic, etc., etc. So I currently have multiple books planned out for this series of Evren discovering her abilities and what's to kind of come of the part that she's meant to play in this world. I will say that plotting this series is honestly one of the best parts of this for me as well. A question that I get asked a lot is how quickly I wrote this first book. So I've been writing books since I was 10. Obviously, back then they weren't amazing. And I've improved throughout the years, but I only really started writing fantasy with this series, and I started about a year ago. I would spend hours on end planning this book for probably like 9 months, and then I actually ended up writing the whole first book, which isn't that long, it's more of like a pilot episode, in a month, and then I spent about a month and a half editing. Now, the reason that I was able to do this is because of how detailed my planning and my plotting was, and like all of the outlines I did for my entire series. When you have an organized outline, it makes things 10 times easier. So if you are planning to start any book at all, the number one advice that I give you is to make a detailed outline for what you want the whole book to be, or the whole series. Because I had this like extravagant, detailed like idea of what I wanted to happen in each chapter, it made it so much easier for me to write it. Now, another reason why I was able to write my first draft in a month is because I'm studying abroad, and the only responsibility I have right now is school. So I have hours of free time on hand. I have nothing to do on the weekends. Like, the only thing I have is homework. Don't expect yourself to write a book in a certain amount of time. You should give yourself just like however long it takes is however long it's going to take. I 100% recommend not rushing yourself, not setting like dead timelines you need to be done by. I think having a rough idea of when you would like to finish a book as a goal is perfectly okay, but I think telling yourself I have to have the book finished by then makes it more of like a chore rather than like something to enjoy. Some things that helped motivate me for writing my book is my love for romantasy itself, my love for reading, and just wanting to kind of create like this world. When I need more inspiration or I want to get into the headspace to write, on rare occasions I will scroll through Pinterest to look at things, but most of the time what works for me is either putting on like a fantasy ambiance or like the Harry Potter soundtrack, and that really helped me set myself like in a good headspace to sit down and write. A big surprise that I had with publishing is how much of the process has actually nothing to do with writing itself. And a lot of it has to do with marketing, learning how to use like computers in certain ways, different programs, learning how to use KDP itself. Those are all very complicated things, from creating your cover to doing the formatting for your book to working through the website of KDP to promoting your book. I have learned so much from doing all of this. There's 100 little things that you need to do and you need to pay attention to that have nothing to do with the actual writing. And there's like so many moments that I thought to myself this is so complicated, I'm so frustrated, why is this so difficult? But it has been really rewarding to see how much I've learned and how much I put into this myself. I don't have an agent and I don't work with a publisher because I'm self-published, and everything I've done is self-taught. A lot of this stuff I had no guidance on and had to just learn by trial and error and just by working through websites. I definitely want to eventually put more detailed videos about how to do specific things, like how to make maps, how to design covers, how to work KDP, how to format your book. And I don't know if that's something that you guys would want a video on, but I'm planning to maybe put those videos out there because that was something that would have definitely helped me so I didn't make the mistakes that I did. One of the biggest mistakes I did was rushing publishing the book. When I finished my book, my first draft, I set a date and I didn't realize how long it was going to take me to edit my book. I thought it would take me a week, but I didn't realize that editing the book takes just as long, if not even longer, than actually writing the first draft, at least for me. I wish that I gave more time to just sit with the book completed. So that ties into advice of something I wish I knew before I started writing is, although I did write really quickly, writing a book is going to take longer than you think it will because there are so many intricate pieces that come into play with the entire process. So do not set a release date until you are completely done editing the book and then still give yourself more time. Another one of the main things I wish I knew was I didn't realize that once you set your size for your book, you can't change it. So I ended up getting set with a size that I'm not unhappy with, but I would have preferred my book to have been smaller, which is why I recommend doing research on every single topic so you don't make the same mistakes that I did. To summarize my advice, get your first draft out, even if it's horrible. Go back and revise it. Don't rush any of these processes because they will be different depending on every single person, and they will be different depending on each day. Make sure that you also love your cover before you decide on one, and if something feels off to you, then it's not the right cover for you. Don't just settle, if that makes sense. Make sure you have detailed, polished outlines for literally your whole series, each whole book, and the chapters per book that you're writing. Ask for help, give yourself breaks. If you're going to self-publish, make sure you fully research what that actually means compared to working with a publisher, because one thing that I didn't realize is how much weight and how much responsibility I carry myself. I do my marketing, I created my website, I created my maps, I created my cover with the help of my stepdad. I edited my book, I did all of that myself, and it takes a lot of energy out of you. And one thing you also need to know when you self-publish is your book is not going to immediately be in a store. It's also really hard to put your book out there, especially with series. I'm trusting the process because I know that it's really hard for someone to pick up a debut novel by someone as their first book in the series, rather than an author that's written multiple books or an author that has multiple books out in the series, because people are more likely to binge a series than just start a series that the author has no other books out and it's just the first book. So be aware that the entire process is really slow and that's perfectly okay. Writing this book has been such a crazy process for me, but it's also been the most exciting and fulfilling thing that I've ever done in my life. And that has to do with every single individual piece that I've learned. But if you do series with lots of magic, mythical creatures, adventures, you might enjoy my series, so subscribe to stick along and watch that process. As well as if you're interested in writing, publishing a book, books in general, anything book content, I do it all. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about everything that I've said. If you would like a video on any specific topic about this entire thing, I feel like I've gained a lot of knowledge about the whole process, so I'm happy to make a video about literally anything. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you have fun with your writing.